Weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever.
Didn't start with the feds kicking down doors. It started with betrayal. Insiders now claim Jay-Z himself was the one who framed his oldest friend, Sean Diddy Combs. The two men once ruled the same empire of celebration, penthouses, and platinum records. But as Diddy sits in a federal cell tonight, convicted on charges of transporting women for immoral purposes, there's a new theory spreading through the music world, that his fall wasn't just the result of excess, but a revenge decades in the making.
You understand? I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their brand.
We can trace the story back to the late 90s. In 1997, still reeling from the passing of Notorious B.I.G., Jay-Z and Diddy turned grief into alliance. They collaborated on Diddy's No Way Out and on Jay-Z's In My Lifetime Vol. 1, uniting Bad Boy and Rockefeller at the height of New York hip-hop. Together, they reshaped the sound of the city. In public, they were brothers, ambitious, untouchable, two kings sharing one crown. Over the years, their bond deepened. In 2005, they appeared together on live television, handing over $1 million check for Hurricane Katrina relief. It was a symbol of power and generosity, two moguls side by side, smiling for the cameras, promising unity in a world that rarely allowed it. In 2009, Diddy publicly called Jay-Z his black brother, telling reporters, "People see us as competitors," but that was a moment of two brothers telling each other how much they appreciate each other. That same night, Kim Porter, Diddy's longtime partner, joked that the photo of them looked like a secret society. All we ask is trust.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling.
Trust, it turns out, was the very thing about to break. Through the early 2000s, subtle cracks began to show. Diddy had teamed up with Beyoncé in 2003 on the song Summertime, when she was still Jay-Z's new partner. Industry insiders at the time called it harmless, two stars collaborating. But others whispered about long studio nights and unguarded chemistry. For years, rumors of flirtation flickered quietly across the blogs. Then came the darker allegation that Jay-Z eventually came to believe Diddy had crossed a line with Beyoncé herself.
I mean, let's just be real for a second. There are a lot of lawyers who call this legal extortion, and that this is the way the legal system works, which is you threaten somebody with reputational harm, and in this case, it's interesting that Jay-Z, who's very wealthy, said it would be financial ruin.
According to sources close to both camps, Jay-Z became convinced that Diddy had not only betrayed his trust, but humiliated him. That private conversations and intimate details were being shared among insiders. Some even claimed Jay-Z heard talk that one of his own children might not be biologically his. None of these claims have ever been confirmed. But the whispers spread fast enough to create a rift between $2 billion brands. In the hyper-controlled world of music moguls, perception is everything, and humiliation, even whispered, is the kind of poison that seeps deep. By 2016, they were still appearing together at parties, laughing at Roc Nation brunches, but something in the body language had changed. Diddy would slap Jay-Z's back, grin wide, and call him strategist or brother, but Jay-Z's eyes often drifted away from the cameras. The partnership that once defined hip-hop solidarity was turning brittle. When Diddy threw his 50th birthday bash in 2019, the two posed for photos. Yet, insiders say Jay-Z left early, ducking press questions about why he hadn't spoken to Diddy privately in months. Then, in 2022, Jay-Z filmed a heartfelt tribute for Diddy's Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards. He said, "Puff was the first one that came through and made us feel like it was us." The line now sounds almost like eulogy. The last time he would ever publicly defend the man who once called him family. Within 2 years, everything would collapse.
Same kind of extortion that we heard when Cassie took the stand and testified on that airplane ride back from France. Diddy said, "You don't do a freak off, I'm going to release one of the freak off videos that you are profiled in and humiliate you."
In early 2024, federal agents began circling Diddy's empire. Raids in Los Angeles and Miami seized hard drives, footage, and financial ledgers. The government accused him of coercing women into freak-off encounters, of orchestrating a network of exploitation that blurred the line between music fantasy and criminal enterprise. Diddy's legal team fought hard, calling the case exaggerated, but the stories from his accusers were graphic and consistent. In September, he was arrested, and by the end of his New York trial, he was convicted on transportation-related charges. 4 years in prison, no parole before 2027.
4 years, 2 months in prison.
Wow.
He served a year. He gets some time. He gets 15% credit, so he'd be at 14-ish.
2.5 years.
So, and then he gets another 15% in the remaining.
Yeah.
He's out in 2 years.
Yeah. Should have stuck with the original guess.
I know.
Yeah. Why
I
goodness.
know.
Wow.
The question is not whether Diddy did terrible things. The evidence in court painted a grim picture, but why the hammer fell exactly when it did, and who might have guided the hand that dropped it. That's where Jay-Z's name returns, quietly, behind closed doors. While Diddy's world was imploding, Jay-Z's own legal troubles were evaporating. A lawsuit alleging he had assaulted a young woman in 2008, the same civil case that also named Diddy, suddenly faded from headlines. Around the same time, stories about his alleged secret children, from Latesha Master in Maryland to Rimier Satterthwaite in New Jersey, were quietly dismissed as harassment campaigns by his attorneys. Jay-Z's team filed motions calling them frivolous, judges sealed documents. By summer 2024, the narrative had shifted entirely. All eyes were on Diddy. Meanwhile, Jay-Z vanished from the public conversation. When 50 Cent mocked him online, posting a meme of Jay-Z's face on a missing milk carton, fans laughed, but insiders saw something colder. Diddy's closest allies reportedly begged Jay-Z to make a statement, even a simple message of support. He said nothing. For months, the man who once toasted to Black unity and staying together refused to pick up the phone. It's hard to ignore the timing. According to one former Roc Nation associate, federal investigators reached out to several industry executives during the early stages of Diddy's probe, including one who had been at Jay-Z's Roc Nation brunch that same year. Those conversations, described as informal background briefings, could have tipped off someone powerful. And when the raids began in March, Jay-Z was already off the grid, reportedly vacationing overseas with his family.
People I don't think realized was he had cameras all over the place, unbeknownst to them. And now he has all that footage, supposedly. This is what I'm told. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if, you're a huge, iconic, TV star or movie star, and you're in some very, very...
Who's getting the money, though?
To the public, it looked like self-preservation. To those who know the history, it looked like strategy. Jay-Z had spent years studying how to control the flow of scandal. Back in 2017, when he admitted to marital infidelity through the album 444, he turned personal humiliation into brand redemption. But now, with Diddy collapsing under federal scrutiny, Jay-Z's silence felt surgical, as if he knew exactly what was coming and exactly when to disappear. Some former associates point to Diddy's own arrogance as his undoing. Others suspect Jay-Z gave subtle assistance to investigators not by fabricating charges, but by offering information that steered them toward Diddy's weaknesses. Remember, these two men shared business ventures, lawyers, and private circles for nearly 3 decades. Few people knew where the bodies were buried, metaphorically speaking, better than Jay-Z.
So why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup.
And behind that silence, the revenge theory grows. If Jay-Z truly believed Diddy had betrayed him years ago, the slow destruction of Diddy's empire would be the most patient act of retaliation the music industry has ever seen. The pattern fits. First came the federal spotlight on Diddy, then the collapse of his partnerships, then the sentencing. And all the while, Jay-Z rose untouched. Walking red carpets with Beyoncé, smiling for cameras as if nothing in his world had changed. The optics are haunting. In 2020, Diddy had toasted their success at the Black Billionaire brunch, calling the moment different than when it was 2016, "We're getting tighter and united we stand." Less than 4 years later, he was in handcuffs and Jay-Z had not spoken his name once. Every photo of their brotherhood now looks like evidence from a happier crime scene.
Well, the things that I experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost destroyed my life.
Now, as Diddy sits behind bars in New York and appeals his sentence, new whispers circulate through industry hallways about sealed documents, anonymous tips, and a deal made long before the raids began. Insiders hint that federal agents received unusually precise information about Diddy's private parties, the same kind of details only someone from his inner circle would know. Whether that trail leads back to Jay-Z or merely passes near him, Nobody can say for certain. But what we can say is this: every major blow that hit Diddy seemed to land just when Jay-Z needed the distraction most. For years, their friendship was proof that two men from the streets could rise above rivalry. Now it looks more like a blueprint for betrayal. The cameras that once caught them laughing together are the same ones we replay to measure the distance between smiles. And as investigators continue to untangle the empire Diddy built, one question keeps echoing in every newsroom, every studio, every corner of the culture they shaped. The question nobody dares ask out loud: did Jay-Z's revenge begin long before the FBI ever showed up at Diddy's door?
Tick tock, the clock is ticking on Diddy, because on Friday he finds out what his sentence is going to be, but today he found out what prosecutors would like that sentence to be, and it is vastly different from what his attorneys have suggested to the judge. Prosecutors want him to do 11 years, just over 11 years.
By the time Diddy stood in court in 2025, begging the judge for mercy, Jay-Z had already vanished from the narrative, his scandals scrubbed, his empire untouched. The courtroom was heavy with silence as the once untouchable mogul trembled before Judge Arun Subramanian, his voice breaking while he apologized to his mother, his children, and to the women who had accused him of years of manipulation. Prosecutors described his behavior as subjugation, a word that cut through the press gallery like a blade. They wanted 11 years. He got 50 months. The cameras caught his children sobbing, his sons calling him a changed man. But behind the emotion, behind the legal formalities, the whispers were already spreading that someone powerful had guided this storm straight toward him.
Here, the data shows a wide variety of sentences. Weighing all the relevant factors, the court determines that the sentence is 50 months of incarceration.
50.
4 years.
4 years.
5-0.
4 years, 2 months.
2 months.
Yep,
Wow.
50 months.
Do that 4 years, 2 months?
We watched Diddy crumble while Jay-Z's name disappeared from every headline. Industry insiders began stitching together what they called the invisible pattern. Coincidences too precise to ignore. Several former staffers from Bad Boy Entertainment and Roc Nation claim investigators had been handed specific leads: financial transfers from shell accounts, travel itineraries that aligned with the federal raids, even fragments of footage from those infamous parties that no one was ever supposed to see. One executive told us that someone high up provided the context that turned years of rumor into prosecutable evidence. None of it has been proven, but timing tells its own story. When the FBI first closed in on Diddy, Jay-Z's own troubles seemed to evaporate. The civil case accusing both men of an assault at a 2000 after-party quietly stalled. A former plaintiff's attorney admitted off record that one of the names was removed from filings before submission. Jay-Z's lawyers called the accusations blackmail, and within weeks, the focus shifted entirely toward Diddy's misconduct. The symmetry is eerie. One mogul dismantled in court, the other hosting celebrity brunches, as if the world had already forgiven him for things it never saw. It wasn't just Diddy's prosecution that fueled suspicion. Around the same time, stories of Jay-Z's alleged secret children began resurfacing with strange synchronicity. Letitia Macer, a woman from Maryland, claimed she had been told all her life that Jay-Z was her father, supported by a sister who said she'd introduced the pair decades ago. Photos circulated online showing an uncanny resemblance. The headlines flared for a week, then vanished. Meanwhile, Ramir Satterthwaite, another claimant, fought for years in New Jersey courts, insisting that his late mother had a teenage relationship with the rapper in the early 90s. Each time his case gained momentum, it hit procedural walls, judges dismissed filings, documents were sealed, and Jay-Z's legal team called it a decades-long campaign of harassment.
If that's part of the indictment, that's somewhat like a blackmail. He was blackmailing people to be in the freak-offs. So that's federal. That could be that's a federal charge. He can't blackmail people to say, yo, listen here, you did it once and you're gonna do it again. That ain't gonna make it with the government or nobody.
Yet as Diddy's scandals exploded into global news raids, court dates, the sentencing, Jay-Z's name all but dissolved from federal interest. The media began calling it selective justice. How could two men accused in the same civil filing end up with such opposite fates? Some say Jay-Z's empire was simply better managed. Others believe he had something stronger: foreknowledge, access, perhaps even cooperation. Insiders claim he had shared corporate audits with authorities under the guise of compliance. A few even suggest he used those same financial records to direct attention toward Diddy's offshore accounts and party budgets. If true, it would mean the downfall of one billionaire began in the spreadsheets of another.
Jay-Z got his ass whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. You gotta answer. The feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your ass whooped.
We can't overlook the strange calm that surrounded Jay-Z during those months. When Diddy's homes were raided, Jay-Z was seen on yachts in the Mediterranean, far from the chaos. He made no statements, no posts, no gestures of concern. 50 Cent taunted him for hiding, joking online that the man who calls himself Hove disappeared faster than smoke. The public laughed, but within the industry, that silence sounded tactical. A man waiting for an explosion he knew would not touch him. Then came the sentencing. Diddy, head bowed, whispering apologies. The judge declaring that his currency was control. And still, not a word from Jay-Z. Not even a public message of empathy for his former friend. That absence spoke louder than any denial. It reminded many of an older betrayal, when rumors swirled that Jay-Z had sought revenge after discovering Diddy's connection to Beyoncé in the early 2000s, a private wound that turned into a public vendetta. If that resentment lingered for decades, perhaps the federal collapse of Diddy's empire was its final act. Sources close to Diddy's remaining circle insist he has his own suspicions. One associate claims the mogul told him before sentencing, "They played me from the inside." Another says Diddy believes someone leaked digital evidence stored on a private server once shared with Jay-Z's team during joint ventures. Whether that's true or not, it fits the pattern. Diddy trusted the wrong people, and Jay-Z walked away unscathed.
This is what I look for. When I see a success, I'm looking for anything
to say that they didn't do it on their own?
Detain it. Not to say
that's not a
Friends say Jay-Z learned early that survival in hip-hop means erasing your enemies before they erase you. We can see traces of that instinct across his career, not through violence or confrontation, but through silence, leverage, and control of narrative. He built Roc Nation not only as a label, but as a fortress of influence, a machine that can redirect the headlines of an entire culture. When scandals rise, they rarely cling to him for long. It's as if his empire absorbs the shock and repurposes it, turning every accusation into proof of his endurance. The same media that once hunted for his flaws now depends on his network of artists, athletes, and streaming platforms. In that ecosystem, silence is not absence, it's command. This psychology of power runs deeper than rivalry. For Jay-Z, control seems to have become its own currency, more valuable than loyalty or forgiveness. His feud with Diddy may have begun as a personal wound, but it evolved into a demonstration of dominance. Who gets to define the truth? The entertainment world operates like a marketplace of narratives, and he appears to have mastered the economy. When he chooses not to respond to scandal, the vacuum itself becomes his statement. In a business built on noise, he turned muteness into strategy. Diddy, once louder and larger than life, never learned that quiet can be the sharpest weapon. In this light, the conflict feels less like a clash of egos and more like a war over authorship. Who owns the story of their generation? Diddy built the soundtrack of excess, the bright roar of the early 2000s, while Jay-Z learned to manipulate perception, bending culture to reflect his image. By the time the trials began, Jay-Z had already rewritten his myth as a symbol of calm intelligence. Diddy, stripped of control, became the cautionary tale. We're left watching two men who once shaped the sound of ambition, now competing over something invisible, the right to narrate history itself. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's narrative reset itself. His philanthropic foundations expanded, his image as a family man solidified. Even the long-simmering Aaliyah rumors, the whispers that she once chose him over Damon Dash, re-emerged briefly, only to be buried under praise for his business achievements. He had rewritten his own history, while Diddy was fighting for a reduced sentence. In the end, the contrast is impossible to ignore. One man kneeling before a judge, tears staining the wood of the defense table. Another smiling in courtside seats at an NBA game, untouchable. The question that hovers over every whisper, every timeline, every sealed document is whether this was justice or strategy. Did Jay-Z merely distance himself from a crumbling friend, or did he engineer the collapse from behind a velvet curtain of influence? If Diddy truly knows who handed him to the feds, if he knows it was Jay-Z, how long before he tells the world everything? And when that moment comes, whose empire will fall next? We'll be watching. Stay tuned, stay curious, and remember, in the world of power and fame, silence often speaks the loudest.